and today we will be discussing some marriage advice for brides to be. This advice will be personal and non personal, so some coming directly from me and others just from folks that I know around me. And this is really just for our brides to be to know what to expect after getting married. What are some things that you can do to make sure that your marriage is going well after you say I do? I think that a lot of times we get this advice after the fact, and this is just some things that I've learned along the way. This is, of course, these are, of course, my personal opinion, but wanted to share in case there were any folks out there struggling with some similar issues or just things that they wish they knew before. So let's jump right in. Very first advice is that something I learned from my therapist is that you should treat your marriage like your first child. If you have not had kids yet, your marriage should be your first child. I thought that that statement really does sum up what your first year of marriage will be like. You really have to nurture your marriage and put your all into it in order for you to continue to just have peace and also have a long lasting marriage. Really just fostering that type of nurture that you would to a child is exactly the thing that you should be doing. And it just makes sense that your first kid is your marriage. In order for you to build a foundation for a family, you have to make sure that your marriage is going well. Something that we never stopped doing since I have met my husband about 7 years ago is we never stopped dating. And you hear this a lot. People will tell you that you should never stop dating, and it's true. We consistently go on dates. We've been doing that since we've met each other 7 years ago, and it continued through our engagement, our marriage now, where we always find time for dates. We always are going on dates. We're always planning things and making sure that we are still spending time with each other the way we were when we first met. I think it's very important for you to, once again, foster that energy into your relationship, your marriage, in order for it to be healthy. And that's what we've been doing. It is one of the biggest things that I would say you should continue to do or start doing if you're not doing that already, because I feel that we've had such a strong foundation because we've always done this even before we got married. For instance, my husband still gives me flowers just because, not because he did anything or because it's Valentine's Day or if it's my birthday. I get flowers throughout the year just because it's Monday. And that's something that we both do. You know, I buy him presents just because it's Tuesday. And it's just something that we reciprocate, and it's something that you should probably do if you are not doing so, because it definitely will make a difference. One thing I cannot stress enough, which is something that I do naturally with my life, even before marriage, I always keep my life private and to myself, but in marriage, I keep my marriage private into me and my husband. You should not be sharing anything about what's going on, especially anything negative happening in your marriage with others. It should not be shared with your family members. It should not be shared with friends. That will change your life in terms of always keeping your life private, because I'm a very private person. I do not just share out everything that's happening in my life. I think that has been the best thing that has happened to me. A few years ago, I decided to get off of social media and stop worrying about letting everyone into what's going on with me. And it has been the best decision I made as of like maybe 3 to 5 years ago. And I took that into my marriage where people do not know what's going on. They know the good things. They may know the good things that are going on, or the things that we want to share with folks, but For the most part, they have no idea what's going on in our marriage. No one should know that. That is between you and your partner. And if you keep it that way, things will work so much smoothly. That takes me into my next advice. If you do need to share things because maybe things aren't going well or whatever the case is, have a therapist. Um, I have a therapist just because I need someone to talk to, whether it's about work, marriage, myself, my childhood trauma. But having a therapist really helps. Having someone to vent to will help. But a therapist is a lot better place to go to vent rather than venting to your family and friends about your personal situations that might be happening in your marriage. Communication is key. Communicate, communicate, communicate. We have been working on our communication ever since we met 7 years ago, and we are finally in a place that we can communicate with each other a lot better than we could even 2, 3, 4 years ago. And you really just have to communicate. Once you reach a level of being able to just communicate that something hurt your feelings, something's making you angry, this is making you upset. Once you learn each other's communication styles and how to communicate to each other about things, it makes life a lot easier. This is the biggest one that I think should be shared more, but people will tell you that when you are marrying your spouse, you're marrying into their family. That is not the truth. You are not marrying into a family because you and your spouse will become your own unit. You will become your own union. You will become your own family. You are not obligated to have relationships with your spouse's family, especially if they are toxic or disingenuous or are not happy about your union and your marriage and what's going on and aren't invested in you and your spouse and what's going on. You are not obligated to be within that space. You're not obligated to communicate. You're not obligated to have to associate or affiliate with anyone that is not happy for your union. My therapist shared something that I am going to share here because I feel like this is important in a marriage, that anyone that does not have your happiness at heart for your marriage should be treated like a threat. I'll say that again. Anyone who does not share happiness or is genuinely happy for your marriage and standing in celebration for your union should be treated as a threat. Keep that in mind when you're marrying your spouse, that your marriage is about you and the person you said I do to, and that's it. If anyone does not share your happiness, does not share a love or just positivity for your union, they should not be a part of your lives. Point blank, period. And they can be to certain extents, and that extent really varies among you and your spouse. This is why communication plays such an important role. But that is your spouse's family, and just like your family is your family, the only person that holds that tie to communicate with them is the person that comes from that family. That is their family. Let them deal with it. You mind your happy married business as a spouse and just take care of your family, which is you, your husband, and any children that you guys have. And that's it. Anyone that is bringing toxic energy or negativity to your marriage should not be a part of your marriage, your life, or even close to you. And just to clarify before anyone comes for me in these comments, I am not saying that you should not have relationships with your in-laws if they actually care and are happy about your marriage. This is strictly talking about
those in-laws who may not be happy for you, do not root for you in your marriage. If you have great in-laws that care about you, they care about fostering your marriage and want nothing but the best for you, please continue those relationships. Those are the best things that you can have and experience in a marriage.
This is something that is becoming more popular nowadays, but should really have always been a thing. But shared household responsibilities. I think that there is always, or there is still a thought that gender norms play a huge role in household. That is never true, especially if you're both working. You guys should split the responsibilities because you both live here. This is both your house, and I think it really makes a difference when the stress is not all on one person when there's two people or more living there. The responsibility should be shared. If I'm doing the laundry, you're taking out the trash. If you're doing the dishes, I'm putting away the dishes. It should be as simple as that. And I think that that really makes a difference. That is definitely how we run our household in terms of their shared responsibilities. And it just makes the stress a lot less. It's not on one person to make sure the house is taken care of and clean. It's on both of us to make sure that throughout the week we are doing our part to make sure that we're upkeeping our house.
Once again, this is my opinion, my personal opinion, but everyone has their preferences. This really depends on your preferences. You and your spouse need to communicate what you prefer, and this is our preference in terms of splitting the household responsibilities so that it's not falling on one person and one person feels overwhelmed. If you are in a different situation, of course, do what's best for you here.
Self-care. You have to be able to pour into yourself before you can pour into others and your marriage and your spouse, your partner, your union. And that's something that I'm working on within therapy is learning self-care and taking care of myself first. I've not been good at that over these last few years. I'm the type of person that wants to give to any and everyone. And you cannot do that when your glass is half full or empty. You have to be able to refill your glass before you can pour into other people's glasses. And that is something that is very much true when it comes to your marriage and your family, being able to take care of yourself. Learn to do that now so that when you do have kids, your family is expanding, you will be able to pour your all into them because you are taking care of yourself. I am definitely an advocate for that because I'm learning to do so as well. And lastly, enjoy every step of your union, your partnership, your marriage. Enjoy your relationship and every step because life is very short. You should just be enjoying it. Do not sit there and let the negativity or the bad things that may happen get to you. Really just celebrate your relationship, celebrate your spouse, celebrate each other and the union that you have. And you will just realize how amazing being in this space will be, especially coming from the space of being so stressed out about planning this union, planning, wedding planning, for how many years that you're engaged. And then finally get into a space where you can just enjoy it. Enjoy the downtime, enjoy not having to plan, enjoy it because it took so much energy for you to get here. And now that you're here, bask in that. Bask in this happiness that you are finally on the other side and life has begun. And just go from there. And with that being said, this is the end of this video. I just wanted to share some tips for our brides to be. And I hope this helps someone out there. What are some of your suggestions? Share down below in the comment section. And until then, I will see you in the next video.